2. Economic Roots of Stalinism. After reading articles of Pandelis Pouliopoulos about the Communist Party of Greece, a question appears: what are the economic roots of Stalinism? What economic reasons favored Stalinists coming to the head of Communist Party of Greece, as opposed, let's say, to supporters of the left opposition? Why were there no native theoreticians in the party? Why was it home to various suspicious elements? Why was there no coherent program of action applicable to Greece in that time period? To provide an economic answer to these questions, let's turn to the economic history of Greece. In 1829, Greece has thrown off the Turkish yoke and has become an independent country. The English capital played the leading role in the economic life of Greece. It was not for nothing that Lord Byron was so enthusiastic about the independence of Greece. The English capital has turned Greece into a base for its ships commuting to Egypt and then on to India. In the Greece itself, there was poverty and destruction caused by the war for independence. The roads were in a very bad condition. Agriculture was on a primitive level. An American consul in Athens in 1833, William Moffett, writes, "Agriculture is here in the most undeveloped condition. Even in the immediate neighborhood of Athens, it is common to find the wooden plow and the rude mattock which were in use 2,000 years ago. Fields are plowed up or scratched over, and crops replanted season after season, till the exhausted soil will bear no more. Fertilizers are not used to any appreciable extent, and the farm implements are of the very rudest description. Irrigation is in use in some districts, and as far as I can ascertain, the methods in use can be readily learned by a study of the practices of the ancient Egyptians. Greece has olives and grapes in abundance, and of quality not excelled, but Greek olive oil and Greek wine will not bear transportation." It is interesting that even in the modern times, the use of fertilizers and the mechanization of agriculture in Greece is lower than the average in Europe. In the book Greek Economy in the 20th Century, author A. F. Freris, in the summary of the 6th chapter, we read, "By 1968, Greece had achieved completely duty-free access for all its exports to Europe. The rapidity of the full accession to membership produced an unpleasant shock for Greek producers and farmers. Similarly, unfavorable comparisons held for mechanization and fertilizer use per acre." From the above, it can be gathered that Greece was and still remains a relatively backward country in the 19th and 20th centuries. What a decline since the times of its greatness in the ancient world. After the War for Independence, the Greek authorities carried out a land reform, distributing lands expropriated from the Turks. The goal of the reform was apparently to oppose the Greek peasants to the Turkish conquest plans. Wikipedia says, the law for the datation of Greek families of 1835 extended 2,000 drachmas credit to every family, to be used to buy a 12-acre farm at auction under a low-cost loan plan. The country was full of displaced refugees and empty Turkish estates. By a series of land reforms over several decades, the government distributed this confiscated land among veterans and the poor, so that by 1870 most Greek peasant families owned about 20 acres. These farms were too small for prosperity, but the land reform signaled the goal of a society in which Greeks were equals and could support themselves instead of working for hire on the estates of the rich. By rich, of course, the Turks meant, because the lands of the Greek landowners were not affected. From what has been said, it is clear that there was no need of land reform, as was the case in Russia before the Revolution of 1917, or in Cuba before the Revolution of 1959. There were many small peasant owners, but they were all poor. At the end of the 19th century, industry gradually began to develop, concentrating in such cities as Piraeus, which is near Athens, and Hermopoli. The 1920 census reported that 36.3% of Greeks lived in urban or semi-urban areas, while the 1928 census reported that 45.6% of Greeks lived in urban or semi-urban areas. So, we see that the peasants are gradually moving to cities and suburban areas. Wikipedia writes about the current state of the Greek economy. Light and food industries are the most developed. Industry employs 21% of the able-bodied population. Shipping, the most important branch of the Greek economy, still provides the largest part of foreign exchange earnings. The ships of Greek shipowners are registered under the flags of different countries. In total, under the national and flags of convenience, Greece has the largest civilian fleet in the world. Fishing in coastal waters is extremely important. So, the Greek proletariat today are sailors, fishermen, trade employees, food and light industry workers. Greek enterprises are mostly small and generally have a low technological level.